Hello, guys. Hi, Red Wing. Hi, Daven. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the amazing Daven Lee. Yeah, and she's kind of, we had this chat last week at the boutique social, didn't we? And I said, Daven, you've just got to come on my channel. Hello, Levi. Levi is one of my best friends forever, by the way. And she is the creator of the Power of the Yin Oracle deck. Daven is originally from the United States, and now she resides in the UK. Yay. Um, and we actually met and spent some time together last week, didn't we, at the Boutique
Mhm.
Social?
Yeah, it's been a
And
couple weeks.
it was lovely. And Daven gifted me a copy of a new deck,
Mhm.
which you can incidentally get from Miranda over at the Boutique, and it can be pre-ordered as well. And
Mhm.
I've been working with David Stett now ever since I've had it. So it's just over a week every day.
Mm.
Um, and we'll discuss the deck more in detail in a moment. But I want you to, first of all, what brought you on your journey to create a specific type of Oracle deck? I mean, it's not like your normal bog standard Oracle deck. It's very kind of healing and empowering. You can do a deep dive with it as well. I mean, it kind of gets you to ask yourself a lot of questions, because when we were at the Boutique Social last week, you did a little mini workshop which I kind of like joined in.
Mm.
Um, and it was very, very moving.
Mm. Thank you.
Because it was because, like, I mean, you kind of give us these questions to kind of work on, and then asked us to pull three cards, and yeah, it was kind of like very, very touching. And so I want you to explain about why you decided to create a deck. What messages are you giving people within your work? And I'm Miranda.
Oh, yay, Miranda.
And where, basically, where are you coming from with your work? What's your experience? So, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. So, this deck springs out of my work, which I've been doing for almost a decade, which I also call the power of the yin. And uh, the power of the yin, of connecting with the yin, which is often associated with the feminine, the yin being the subtle, the internal, the intuitive, the mysterious, the underground, sometimes the chaotic. Thank you. There's the surrender card. Those the yin is something that we don't value very much in this culture, and we don't have the we've forgotten the skills and the understanding of how to actually connect with the yin as a source of power. And because it can be so overwhelming, because it is mysterious, it is invisible, it is not quantifiable, our left brain doesn't work in the yin realm, it's become demonized, and which has pushed it even more underground. And
Yeah.
of course, the feminine has been connected with it and been demonized in turn. So there's a tandem relationship between the feminine and the yin, but the yin is really just a pure energy. It doesn't have a
Yeah.
gender.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I had to find the yin and discover its power for myself, because many things in my life weren't working. A marriage, this came out of my exploration into my sexuality and my sexual energy, and it uh, those things led me into two practices: qigong and biodynamic craniosacral therapy. And then from there, and also sacred Taoist sexuality. So three practices. And from there, I began to work with people, mostly women, one on one, as well as in classes. And I started to formulate um, a way of working, a kind of, I call it a body of work, or principles, essential principles that come up when I'm helping women and men to connect with this power. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I started to, through the prompting of a coach who I still work with, who's amazing, I started creating these maps, mind maps, visual maps of what it is that I offer my clients as the power of the yin. And it formulated, the very first one I did immediately formulated into a journey that had a beginning, and it had these tools and skills and practices along the way that are like you're adding to your bag of tricks and your competency and your and then is your essential resources that you take with you everywhere you go, the guardians of your yin power, what protects your yin power. The yin really needs a container, and it needs to be protected because it's such a vulnerable place to go in.
Yeah.
And then the place where you ultimately end up, which of course is a spiritual location of home and a connection with the divine. And at the same time, the journey is not linear. So we know, one way to describe the journeys are spiralic. We continue to revisit, or sometimes they're chaotic. We're in one place and we're in another.
Yeah.
So once I made this mind map, almost immediately the idea struck me that each of the pieces on the map would make a card that could be part of a deck, an oracle deck that is a guide to the power of the yin. And that also, as an aside, I am the child of two artists. And so I really connect with art, actually, as an expression. And what you can see in the deck is the artwork of my incredible collaborator,
Yeah.
Yael Bernhard.
Yeah.
And so I find that this combination of powerful artwork and powerful language and these powerful concepts, this is a way to get to an embodied understanding of the yin that bypasses the left brain, actually. So it's not a book that you read through, from left to right, and you start at the beginning and you end up at the end. It's a deck that you pull from every day. You shuffle it. You create a chaos with the deck. And this is actually the first time I've really articulated this aspect of why this form works so well. And you're having an interaction, a physical interaction with the deck. So, and what you really spoke to so beautifully and accurately at the beginning is it is a deck for healing. It is a deck for exploring deep places and asking really big questions about ourselves and life itself. And that comes from, it's beautiful that that's translating, and I'm getting that feedback that people are having that experience, because that's from which the deck springs, is my work with healing.
I mean, I've always, people who know me and have known me on here a long time know that I predominantly work with feminine decks anyway.
Yes.
The Mother Piece being my all-time favorite, the Medicine Woman, and Miranda knows me really well. And when I saw that this was kind of being birthed, and I thought, I have got to have that deck because of the artwork. And I have been using this deck, as I said, every single day alongside my Mistress of Mary Tarot. Amazing pairing, because the messages you get from are really deep. I don't know, there's something kind of really special and unique about feminine works. It reminds me of I don't know, all the women that have been around me, all my life, the women before me who I didn't know, and the women who'll come after me. And we know that without a woman, there would be no us. And I think people kind of overlook that part, and I absolutely love it so much. I do. Not only do I love the fronts of the cards, but there's surprise, guys. There's the backs of the cards, so you get Daven's kind of prose on there. That one is presence. So Daven has written all the prose on there as well. And if you haven't got to kind of like, take every single word on board that you've written, it's what stands out to you, isn't it, as a person. And if you can also intuit very well with these cards as well. And you can also use them not as a daily oracle card or a guidance card, but you can also just look at the imagery and see what you can take off it as well, with the colors, the stance of the women on the cards, what they're holding there, like that vessel there. And there's many, many ways to use it, and this is the way I've been using it. But like, I mean, this will be with me probably as long as my medicine woman and my mother piece, hopefully. Um,
Oh,
it's just Levi's just says gorgeous. I love double decks when they're done well. And it is because you have got keywords on here, you can use. As I said, no disrespect to you, David, but obviously you haven't got to read David's polls if you don't want to. You can just use the keyword on the top. And
mhm,
what does manifestation mean to you?
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and so, like, I think it's there's lots of ways to use it, and also you can also say, for instance, I know what all the cards are now, because I've been working with it.
Oh,
But,
awesome.
yeah, but you can also, like, pick a card from the front. Which picture do you think, would you use today? What do I need to kind of like? Oh, I know that looks like community to me, and that's devotion. Um,
Mm.
and I absolutely love, love, love that one so much. So, what come first? Was it your prose or the artwork, or the artwork then the prose?
Uh, my writing came first.
Your writing first, and
Mhm,
then the
mhm.
artist kind of like took it from your writing.
Exactly. Now we started working together before I'd written anything, or
Yeah.
we agreed to work together before I'd written the prose. But then, yes, I would write it and send it to her, and then she'd be creating the illustrations.
Well, she's done an absolutely amazing job.
Yes.
She really has, because it just pairs well with other kind of divine feminine decks. I've got the softness and gentleness of this one, and
Mhm,
I've got the loudness of Lisa Lister's She Sirens Oracle, and I'm thinking,
mhm.
oh my god, these work amazing together. Like the total, the yin and the yang.
Yes.
You've got like the receptive and the active.
Mhm.
Um, Blue says nice collaboration. So what do- you know? What why did you think that? Like, why did you think that it was important to bring the power of the yin to the community? Why did you think it was important?
Oh my goodness. Well, uh, we know we're in crisis on the planet and as human beings, and in spiritual crisis. And there's no question. I think we can agree, and probably most people watching this can agree that we've been missing the other half of our being, which is the yin, and the part of us that it's not only the part of us that is our sensitivity and our attunement, but it's also our access to the invisible world, and and the beings and the guidance that are available to us beyond, and our abilities that are beyond
Yeah,
things we learned in school or that we get conventionally employed for. We need all of our intelligence and all of our skills and all of our power available to us in these times. And um, the disempowerment that we can feel comes from the disconnection to this very special kind of power.
yeah,
And
totally.
I, yeah, and I feel that it's not only a remembering, because a lot of people talk about a remembering, and we as individuals can connect with, like, wow, I kind of remember this. But I also believe that there's an evolution of this power happening. There's an emergence of this power into something that's never been experienced before.
I hope so. We both know that the patriarchy basically run the world, and I've often sat down and thought, well, I wonder what would happen if the world had been run by women instead. You know, I don't know. It's
Or
just
even better, in cooperation together.
yes, It's right, yeah, definitely, it is right, yeah. More
In right
cooperation.
relationship with each other.
Yeah, yeah, and there's none is that, and you look at all the goddess cultures because, like, I mean, I've read When God Was a Woman and all those kind of books, and Women Who Run with the Wolves, and they're my favorite books. And you're thinking, I wish we could have like a little part of that back again, as you said.
Mhm.
Where it was basically goddess cultures everywhere, and people actually listen to women, unlike now. And as you say, the importance of it is bringing it back again and showing people that they need to kind of like get in touch with their inner selves and show themselves a little bit of softness and be kinder to themselves, and basically get back to the source where we come from.
Mm.
That's what I think, basically, anyway, about your work, because I have found it very moving, and
Mm.
everybody who knows me knows I'm stone cold. So that there's just nothing really that moves me, but like there is
What?
something.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's true. Um, well, you met me, yeah.
I met you and within a second I was like, this is the warmest, loveliest person.
Oh,
I
no,
wanted
it's just
my arms
we
around you immediately.
no, it was just a connection instantly with us, wasn't it? It was just lovely. It really was. And I don't know, there's something, I find, within the community, within our community as well, even though like mainly the readers and everything, it's right, Miranda art like a sweet brick, that's true.
Yeah, but there's more to say here. Your friend knows better.
Yeah, Levi's line is a sensitive little boy. I am really, yeah. It's just this tough exterior, but like, I mean, I do prefer like, kind of decks like this, and decks you can actually utilize as well into your life. Not into all that fluffy nonsense where you just pull a card and you just forget about it. But like seeing something like this, for instance, and I love this because the pros on the back of this, guys, is non-negotiables. This is where you draw the line. This is where you do not flex or bend, twist or splinter. Yes, this is the source of your sacred no. And that is one of my favorite I mean, look at that like tree spirit there with her arms folded. Must say, no, you're not coming anywhere near me. Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite cards. So did you kind of like, want, because obviously we've got keywords on the cards at the top, as I've said. So did you kind of like think, oh, what would make like a balanced deck? Or did you just kind of get on with it?
Yeah, it was not when so whenever I tried to come up with a structure, a kind of outside in structure, like for example, the four suits, or wouldn't it have been nice if it fit into the five elements of Chinese medicine? Because that's something I work with in my work, and or the seasons, any number of
Yeah,
structures that would be really beautiful. It didn't work. Um, and my original schematic, and uneven, having sets that are uneven, have uneven numbers of cards relative to, like there's the what I call kind of the powers and the practices of the yin, which really form the core of the deck. And
yeah.
I think there's five of those. It would have been just so elegant if they'd all had the same number of cards in them, but they don't. And
But they
so,
don't need, yeah, but they don't need to, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, and the thing, I'll tell you something as well. I've been saying this to people for years, stop with your 159-page guidebook. Like, just put a pamphlet in like that, it does just as well. And this is really good because you have said about different ways to use your cards, which I have been doing anyway. Place a card on your altar journal with a card. Saab is one of my special friends, and she was coming to the social, but she couldn't.
um,
Um, I hope you like this, Saab. I think you will. And so you've got invite them to inform your sacred practice or move into meditation with the message of the card. Connect each card as a sovereign being. Who is this card? What is the card's message? What do you feel in your body when you interact with this card? Now, that's nice. You know, do you feel like some kind of like resilience, or, you know, do you feel love from, you know, the particular, you know, artwork?
Mhm.
And it's really lovely, honestly. It really is. And I just want everybody to use it on Instagram. You know,
Me too.
you know, we need to people to use it. And you know, you've got the realms of the yin, as you've explained,
Yes.
and then you've got the
Realms,
absolute.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like the absolutes are birth, love, devotion, cycles, healing, truth, beauty,
Yep.
abundance, death, and grief. And it's just lovely. And I'm just so happy that you've kind of like birthed something like this, you know. So we do know, a little bird told me that you do have a healing workshop
Yes, I
um, at the boutique, Miranda's studio in Woodford.
mhm.
And would you like to share a little bit more about that?
I'd love to. In fact, what you were just saying about interacting with the deck as a sovereign, interacting with the individual cards as sovereign beings, and what do you feel in your body when you experience the card that you pulled? Those are the kinds of explorations we're going to bring into this workshop. So I'm doing a 3.5 hour workshop on the 27th, Saturday the 27th, at the boutique, and it'll be in the afternoon, 1 o'clock. And what I'm so excited about is bringing the deck, working with the deck together with the practices that actually inspired the deck. So these are movement practices from Qigong. And just to explain, so not everybody may be familiar with Qigong. It's a similar practice to Tai Chi. It's a very slow meditative movement practice.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And the original teacher I had was a pretty unconventional Qigong teacher. I have no idea how much of this he was making up, but he was inspiring to me. And um, one of the things that was incredibly inspiring is how we can connect with archetypes and these different experiences that are being described in this deck. We can embody them through these movements. And there is really no substitute for embodiment of something.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, we can have an idea, we can have an understanding, we can have a philosophy, we can have an emotion, but to then actually really connect with how it's resonating in the body is a whole different level of understanding. And it's also where healing and transformation take place. And so, one of the reviewers, Sadhana, Healing with Sadhana, who's also on YouTube, one of the things she said in her review was, "This is a deck that wants to be lived," which I loved because it's
yeah,
true. It wants to be in the body. It wants to be expressed through our wholeness, not just our ideas or our belief systems. So yes, that's what that workshop will be. And there, we only have room for 6 people. So I have a feeling it's going to fill up fast, and I hope to be able to follow it up.
oh,
And
I'm sure it will. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure it will. So like, say for instance, then say if like, let me just like pick a card now. Right, I ain't gonna
great.
look at the cards. So I've picked. Oh, right, okay. I've got the Imaginal.
Yes.
Right, so this to me is letting your imagination and your ideas. No, I picked this at the do you remember this was at
Yeah, you
the
posted about it.
workshop? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So we've
yes, yes.
got,
That was the first card you ever pulled.
what, yeah. So we've got, obviously you can see, guys, there's somebody there, and then you've got like angels and music and all sorts of ideas, and you know, things formulating in the mind. And so at the back of the card, it says play world for the child, source for the artist, solution for the scientist, portal for guidance, vision, radical reorganization, wild invention. In the dream of the imaginal, energy and form run free. Angels and muses whisper to us, and the invisible becomes real. Um, and now, what would you say to somebody? Would you kind of like so kind of suggest to somebody then, if they pull this card, that they need to start like using their imagination or their inner muse or something like that? Is that what you'd say with that, Daven?
So that card, of course, can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
First of all, it's part of the set, the realms of the yin, which you just mentioned a few minutes ago. But just to explain that these are these, intangible, subtle realms that we access when we move into that yin part of our being. And the imaginal is, so to speak to what sort of the essence of that card is about connecting to this invisible place that's full of potentials, that has infinite potential. And there's so many, on the one hand, our culture loves imagination and creativity, like the way the card begins with talking about children, right? Artists,
Just show that
scientists, Einstein is considered a great champion of the imagination with his famous quote. And imagination can also be marginalized, as in it's just your imagination. It's not real. And so this card is an invitation to actually access the imaginal as the precursor to the real, as how we invoke and bring something into form, how we connect with beings and guides and angels and muses who are whispering to us to bring something to life in this world, to manifest. Like the deck itself, I got the whisperings.
You did, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm really going to do it. So, and then there's the aspect, again, from my work with Qigong, there's an energetic and an embodied experience of the imagination, which is to connect with our creative life force energy, which I will say is also our sexual energy. If you think about our sexual energy is about making babies. It's about creating another human life at its biological essence. That is the essence of the creative act. And so what I would want to dialogue with the person who pulled that card, what's the health of your creative energy? What's the health of your sexual energy? And how is it able to come into every aspect of your life? Are you open? And one of the other thing about when we connect to these other realms, of course, the first step is to believe that they exist, which it can be a little tricky because we can start projecting or making crazy things.
I agree. Yeah, I've experienced that myself.
Right? We've all done it. But without the belief, we can't begin to access these subtle realms. And so the other thing is, do you trust your imagination as actually a powerful guide to what's possible in your life or what's possible in the world? So, this is where big ideas are born.
And so you could also like add on to that as well. Maybe you could kind of like, deepen your connection to your imagination by meditation, prayer as well. So that's another aspect to the card, because you've got the angels there as well. And I know there's a lot of spiritual people within the community, and I know there's an awful lot of people also who believe in angels and spirit guides and things like that. So you could also say, your spirit guides and things like that as well. So
this is about that relationship.
Yeah. And I think, just from that one card, we've got so much. And this is what I'm saying, it's just incredible. And I just, we've got cycle as well. So, I mean, obviously, that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Cycles, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we've got cycles on that one. And hang on. I'm going to say, like, I want to pick some of my favorites, but I can't because, like everyone is. You know which one my favorite is, don't you? Because I've said. And it was.
Which one? I don't remember. I want to know.
Beginning with C, and I still can't remember the title.
The Sonic.
Yeah.
Is that one of your favorites too?
Yeah.
Love that. Boy, that card, people really, it really stands out to people? Are you able to find it? Let's
I
see.
am, yeah. I'm just looking through it. It reminds me of like raw power, raw inner power, and between the liminal, as you said, when we were at the social last week.
Yes.
I just love it. And she is the serpent. And that is such a powerful card, along with this one as well.
Yes.
I
I've
love
pulled that
them.
card 2 days in a row this week.
Yeah, I know, yeah. We've been in sync with the card pulls this week, haven't we? It's just amazing, though. And when you explain that in the little workshop, I don't know whether you can remember,
Yep.
because a couple of people were stuck, weren't they? You know, first of all, we didn't know how to say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops, I just put, where did it go? I'd love to, can I talk about it a little bit now? Because I think it is,
Of course,
one of the more powerful cards in the deck, and it is something that a lot of people haven't encountered before, and they do need help understanding the card. So the word is, it has a wild spelling. It's from Greek, and it's pronounced the chthonic. So the CH is silent. I'll read the card and then I can talk about it. The chthonic feminine does not turn away. The serpent is her form. She goes down deep, slithering into the dark spaces. Her offering is the underworld of life, brought up from the primordial depths for all to see. She is not pretty nor delicate. She is undeniable as she stands, dripping, screaming, writhing with the truth. See me, she demands. And then, in a mesmerizing, undulating snake spiral, she dances, and the energy rises all the way to heaven. Her gifts have been received. She is rewarded with ecstasy.
I love it so much. I do. Yeah, I should have held the card up then while you was reading that.
What were you doing? You were looking at
I was just looking at it down there. But yeah, it's just amazing. It's such a powerful image because she does look like she is like in the underworld or somewhere kind of like that. And she's like a complete mess. Because she doesn't know kind of where to kind of direct her energy or anything like that. And yeah, it's amazing.
Or she's got her energy going in many different
Many
directions.
different directions, yeah, yeah.
As snakes do,
Yeah.
slithering in all these underworld, underground places, the underbelly places. She's definitely a sister to Kali, the dark, the bloody, the muddy. Carl Jung talked about the chthonic and associated it with the feminine, interestingly, and the earth, a kind of earthiness, and these are my words, but the messiness of being in the body, the messiness of the feminine. One of the powers of the feminine is that our bodies are a gateway for life and for death.
Yeah.
The moment of birth is a threshold, is a portal, and you're not sure who's going to end up on which side of the portal at the end of the day sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And also, the idea that women, and I don't really want to make this about women versus men, but the idea that what we go through in childbirth and what we go through in being that close to life and death creates a kind of capacity for being with the shadows of life that is really powerful, and that often wants to be ignored or covered up by the culture, certainly historically. And gets shut up. We don't want to hear about this. We don't want to hear about your sons, that you loved your son and your son was an infant at what time and we sent him to war and now he's dead. We don't want to hear about your birth story, giving birth to that human being that then was used, as a tool in a war, as a pawn. And, the chthonic feminine is the one that carries the dead body honestly the dead baby and says, babies die. You know, this is not romantic. You cannot gloss over life and death and its relationship, you know, its relationship. And the spiraling, you know, there's a sense of there's the Kundalini energy, right? The snake energy that rises up to heaven.
Yeah, I did
And
notice that.
she's rewarded in ecstasy, you know, that there's ecstasy in wholeness. There's ecstasy in being able to embrace the shadow and the light, which actually there's a card called the shadow. So we get into that in that card too. It's not as primal a card as the Chthonic is.
Let me have a look. So, you know, the board, have I missed something here? Because, you know, the borders on the cards, the colours, are they categorized?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, I tried, but no.
Oh,
One
right,
thing that is categorized is there's a little, Yael and I call them the squiggles. Where is it? These little things denote the different sets. So when you look at that pamphlet that you're holding up that describes the different sets, that's how you can tell where you are, but there's no color coding. It's purely aesthetic.
Right, okay. Right, okay. You know, there's so many, there's 58 cards here, guys, honestly. And I'm just, why is it every card that you need is always at the bottom of the deck? So
there she is, the shadow. Yeah.
So there is the shadow card. So would you like to explain that?
Yes. Well, let me find my card and I'll read it. So the shadow is also one of the realms of the yin, the shadow realms. Behind the shining of the sun is the place of no light, the hidden storehouse of powers kept out of the glare. Secrets that once told will change everything. Shame, guilt, and the unspeakable live here. So too your unsung beauty, that which you keep hidden from the world. Pierce the shadow with a ray of light. Leaven the glare of the sun with the relief of darkness. Your wholeness, shadow and light.
That's absolutely amazing. You got a compliment here from Levi. Such a well thought out pack of cards.
Thank you.
And Miranda, I think it's fascinating. And me. It's really moving, actually. It's, yeah, I think your words on the card just about have summed up the whole kind of card, really, and the way that Yael's done, you know, when you see the piercing of the light as well into the darkness, you know, and that kind of person's in like that safe, like kind of womb like space. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, really is. I'd like Daven Lee to read these cards when I get this thoughtful deck.
Well, you know, Blue, I wanted to mention that I'm actually in the process of creating, most of it is done, what I'm calling an inbox retreat, which is something that you can purchase. It's like a instant access purchase where you will get once a week, you'll get an email that links you into a place where you get a card and an audio, you know, you'll see the card on this digitally, and an audio of me reading the card and then leading a guided meditation or practice with the card.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. And so it's called the Power of the Yin Oracle Deck Inbox Retreat. And there's different levels. You can subscribe to 5 weeks, 10 weeks, or all 58 weeks. So that's what I'm still creating the 58 weeks.
So are you got like kind of, I mean, I think these would be like great, like for drumming circles and things like that as well, you know.
Oh my gosh,
just
yes.
like, you know, they are full of medicine.
They are. Yeah, thank you.
It is a real well thought out kind of medicine deck. And so, you know, anybody, you know, who would they be suitable for? Well, I thought so they'd be suitable for everybody. But they'll be suitable for people who do shamanic journeying as well. That's another one. And because you said, like, the womb like space in the shadow card, and the card beginning with CH, what is it again?
The Thonic.
Shamanic, yeah. And that could be really good for a shamanic journey, for people who practice that, kind of thing. And it'd be brilliant. I'm going somewhere in July. Actually, I'm going to somewhere called Fantasy Forest.
Ooh.
And my friend's got a store there, and I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna like, when you casually play with something, like, and people are like, oh, what's that deck there?
Great.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take it with me. So what's up next coming for you, seeing as you're gonna become a proper resident of the UK?
Well, that's a journey. That's a journey we're working on. We're at the very beginning.
Just love
Well, thank you. I definitely want to be doing more offerings with the deck. And, we've got the workshop at the boutique on the 27th. And Miranda and I were already been dreaming up wanting to do like a retreat with the deck. I would love to do like a weekend retreat.
That'd be lovely. Yeah.
And I offer my work, my Power of the Yin work, to private clients. I have a 6-month program, one-on-one program, that's a real deep dive with the power of the Yin, that I love to take people on. Not just, it's mostly women, but I love working with men and connect and helping them connect and really step into their power of the Yin, and to watch them become actualized in their masculine as a result is a really, really beautiful process. And I also have a very particular, if somebody goes to davenlee.com and to my homepage, they're going to see a focus on sexuality and sexual energy. And I love to help people connect with what I call their sexual soul, which is one of the cards in the deck, actually. Again, because this is a really beautiful source of it's our life force energy. So it affects everything in our lives. And obviously it affects our ability to experience pleasure, our relationships and intimacy, and our soul, and the uniqueness of what we came here to express. So, and I'm offering biodynamic craniosacral therapy sessions in London right now too. So you can schedule a cranial session with me, which I can tell you is
there you go, guys.
Yeah, is often more than just a cranial session. As you can imagine, we go to all kinds of places. And there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, and if you go to yinoracle.com, so there's a few things, and that's a brand new website. There's, of course, you can order the deck. There's, you can order the inbox retreat that I mentioned. I also have an instant access course called You Are Not Alone, Connecting with Guides and Guidance. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to help people connect, go deeper, really open to guidance. I seem to have, like with sexual energy, I seem to have a special ability to open that channel. So, and you can schedule a one-on-one session with me through that.
That's absolutely perfect. It's just fascinating. It really is, honestly. Now the workshops,
Yes.
physical workshops, they're only women's safe spaces, aren't they?
You know what? No, this
No.
workshop at the boutique is not just for women.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I just wondered how that kind of like.
Sometimes I teach things that are just for women, but this one is not. No.
Okay, okay. Just good to know, just in case, before I put it all out there.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know what? This just, I mean, obviously, you kind of cracked my heart open last week when I met you.
Oh, yay! I love cracking hearts
Not
open.
many people get there, but you did. And this has been just a wonderful experience. Just chat again, and to show people who you are and what your work involves, and you know, your wonderful deck, obviously. And, you know, it hasn't just been, you know, I haven't just got you on here, obviously, to plug your deck. I've got you on here so people know you as a person.
Thank you.
But you can get a copy of Daven's deck from Miranda over at the Wooty, which after, you know, after the video and everything, I will link everything below, and Daven's website as well, and also her Instagram profile. And please do feel free to message her because she's very lovely. Yeah. So we will chat again, obviously. Whenever you want to come back on and whatever you need to chat about, I am always here. And so you guys are lovely. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, Miranda, again for next week, last week, if you're still here anyway. And
Marty, thank you so much for having me.
it's a pleasure. Anytime, you're always welcome. And thank you for the lovely gift.
I love that this deck the yin has brought us together.
And me, yeah, me too. You know, it's just it was love at first sight when it, you know, it really was. It's lovely. So thank you guys for everything, and we'll see you again soon. Stay tuned because I've got the lovely Lisa Lister on soon, and also Victoria Maxwell. Not at the same time, Vix of New Age Hipsa, by the way. And so yeah, we'll sort out a date for that. So good to see you all, and we will chat again soon. So thank you guys. Much love from me. Bye.
Bye, everyone.